just like, actually, I'm glad I'm not in a relationship right now because I like my space. I like doing things without having to consult with someone else.
Mm.
Sometimes I just want to be alone. But then other times I'm just like, oh, I wish I had a partner, like someone to annoy, like
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome to another episode of Girlfriends and Goals. I'm your host, Samaria. This podcast is a space where we'll talk about friendships, life goals, a little bit of pop culture, and all things womanhood. Our top goal this year is to grow our podcast audience. So if you're new here or you're an avid listener of this podcast, please subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, consider writing a review, and of course, share with a girlfriend or two. All right, so I know you guys heard that my better half, my co-host, is not here today. Have no fear, she'll be back next week for sure. But the reason why she's not here is because this is our Galentine's Day edition. This is our Galentine's Day episode of the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. So I am joined by two of my unmarried friends, Christian and Crystal. And what we're talking about today will be things that people say to women who are single. And we kind of want these things to stop a little bit. Just please. They're not things that need to be said, but we're going to give our takes on why these things maybe don't need to be said. So yeah, welcome ladies. And thank you so much for joining me.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to jump right into one of the questions that we have. We don't have a segment today because there are a few things that we came up with amongst ourselves that are said often to single women that maybe are said with good intention, but don't always, like the message doesn't always quite hit that way. So the first thing that I want you guys to respond to is the comment of, you'll meet someone when you least expect it, or when you stop thinking about it, that's when he'll come. What do you guys think about this? I'm going to start with Christian.
Um, I'm not too fond of either of those because I feel like when people say it, they don't really give like reasoning behind it. Like I feel like when they state it, it's just something to say like, oh, don't think about it and then it'll happen. And then it's like this magical, like fairy tale fantasy thing that's supposed to just happen. Like, I just
Right.
stopped thinking about wanting to be in a relationship and then poof, this man just like shows up. Like, that's just how I imagine it. So I guess, I don't know, like when I respond to it, it's just like, oh,
Thanks.
okay. Like,
Right. But also, it's like, how do you not think about, like, how do you stop thinking about it when it's something that you desire? Crystal, what about you? What do you think?
Um, I'm guilty because I've been on the unwanted advice end. I've said that when I was in a happy relationship. I'm like, girl, don't think about it. And then now, now that I'm single, I'm like, why did I say that? That's dumb. Because like you said, how do you not think about it? It's like when you see your peers or your friends, everyone's like moving through these life stages with
Mm.
a partner, or and you're like, oh, here I am. And somebody comes up to you, be like, girl, don't think about it when you least suspect it. No, that's not helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then second of all, aren't you supposed to work towards things? If you want something, don't you like work towards it, you know? So
Yeah,
like,
that's another thing. It's like I don't necessarily think there's a problem with thinking about it, but I do think it makes people uncomfortable,
yeah.
like when, oh, say I'm like happy and engaged, getting married, whatever, and you're coming here and you're saying, oh, this is what I want, this is what I need. I think it might make some people uncomfortable and they feel like they just have to say something. Like they can't
Yeah.
not say something. And so they're like, oh, let me offer this.
It's best to be quiet.
Sometimes
It's
it don't,
not.
it won't
yeah,
hurt.
especially if you can't tell me why. Like, tell me, why am I supposed to just like stop thinking about it? Like it really just seems like something to say. I need a follow up. Like, okay, now if I stop thinking about this, and please tell me how I'm going to, like, what, like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like something the same.
Yeah. So in between the questions that we have, I had Crystal and I think one of my other friends send dating app questions. And I thought it would be fun to just try a few of those in between our like bigger questions, right? So the first dating app question that I was sent says, you should not go out with me if, and I want you guys to fill in the blank. Okay, why are y'all laughing? See, this is your Tinder profile, your Hinge profile. This is practice. Come on.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, mine said you should not go out with me if you take jokes personally, because I'm like a dry humor kind of person. And sometimes it can rub people the wrong way. But once you get to know me, you realize like I'm actually a nice person, right, Samaria? Like I'm a nice but I'm a nice person, but it's like I have really dry humor, and like I'm cracking jokes all day. Like I'm sending memes, I'm sending gifts. It's like, but that's just me, because I love to laugh. And I'm very sarcastic too. If you're not if you don't understand sarcasm, or if you don't like it, or like if you're just kind of like a straightforward, just kind of dry person, don't no.
Yeah. Crystal said, I need you to let me hurt your feelings a little bit.
Like, exactly. You hurt my feelings too.
That's funny. I get it though. You were like a little bit of the roasting. Not, I don't want to say roasting.
No, yes, that's exactly what I'm answering. I want to be able to roast you. How you getting in your feelings, like, because that's just how I am.
Exactly. Yeah. Christian, what about you?
Oh, I don't want to say one of my things because I don't want to seem uptight.
Girl, it's okay. Run us the list. It's Galentine's Day.
Everybody has boundaries, everything, things off limits. But if you can't cook, like I'm very serious about my food. And I cook, I enjoy cooking, but I have been on dates with a couple of guys that have been like, I don't cook, I buy everything. And I'm like, I don't see how that's sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how you are able to just like come home and whip something up really quickly. And it goes into like a gender roles conversation. Like, then they're like, well, you are the woman, so you cook. And I'm just like, what happens when I can't cook?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know, like it just becomes this whole conversation.
Yeah.
But, you need to be able to do something.
How would you feel if, okay, he doesn't necessarily know how, but he's like willing to learn how to cook?
Yeah, if he's willing to learn how to cook, I'm definitely down for teaching. But I have been in situations where the guys are like, no, I don't care to learn. Like, I'm like, I would be the one cooking. And I'm just like, that's not sitting right with me. It was nice to meet you.
Okay, so I have a question. I just want to not counter, but just ask, like, because I've been in this position too, where this guy, he was very serious, about the same thing. He was like, I don't really care to cook, but I will be like, mostly like, I don't care to do things like that, but I will provide so that like you have everything you need. You don't have to do anything except just like cook and raise our kids. And I'm just like, that don't sound bad, actually. Like, what if it was a situation like that, where it's like your partner is like, you guys fall in this very traditional, role and norms, where it's like you are like a homemaker, or like, and then he is the breadwinner, or so-called like parent outside of the household, where what you have to do is just cook and take care of the home. Would you mind then?
So I'll say it's not something that I would mind it's just like when Christian brought up, what if I'm in a position where I can't cook? Like, what if I'm on bed rest? Or what if, I don't know, God forbid, something happens, to me? Are you going to be able to cook for my kids, or are they going to be eating McDonald's? Also, Christian mentioned something about you're like buying everything. So there's like a responsibility with money that comes into that for me just a little bit. It's like, ooh, like you would rather just spend as opposed to just learning this basic life skill. So yeah, I think that would be a beautiful situation. I think if he just knew how to make like one or two things, we'd be good just in case of emergency. How about you, Christian?
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, if my man told me you don't have to work again, you just be at the house and cook and take care of our kids, I mean, I don't think I would say no. Like, I really don't think I would do that. But I mean, yeah, like when you think about finances, like there's a possibility of us like coming to a situation where we have to adjust our lifestyle. I just don't see like always having to purchase your food as being sustainable. Like, I don't know. I guess because I've had my own situations where I've had to cook at the house. It's like I've had to make that choice not to go buy something to eat. Or just like logically, it's like I can go to the store and spend maybe $20 on something, and I can meal prep that and it lasts me for the week, or go spend $20 on this one meal. Yeah. And it's like that, just like, I don't know, in my head I see it that way. But I mean, hey, if you got the funds to go buy food every single day for every meal,
yes,
that's great. But I need you to at least cook a meal for me every now and then, or like be open to learning. We cook together. But the guys who are just like, oh no, like you're cooking all the meals and that's what women do, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. First of all, we spent a lot more time on that question than I thought we ever would. But it's interesting because the first time I met Christian, like I feel like there were maybe 2 times that we went out to eat together, and after that we were like, okay, we're gonna start packing our lunches now. No more of this. Like we treated ourselves enough. 2 meals, perfect. That's enough for the rest of our friendship. But but okay, so the next thing that I want us to respond to is when people say, girl, enjoy being single because once you're married, it's so different. Or when they say, oh, I wish I was still single, like there's some glory days or something. How do you guys feel about that? I'm gonna start with Crystal this time.
I have mixed feelings because I've been on the opposite, I've been on both ends where why you always laugh at me?
Why? How does she not want me to laugh at her? And she's the one who wants a man who can be roasted. But now I was laughing because it's funny how you were on the side, like the opposite side of all of these.
Well, no, because I've said these things. That's what makes it so funny. Like I was reading these questions, I'm like, Crystal, really, you said this? But like I said, not that I have been on both ends because I'm not married, nor have I been married, but there are times where I'm just like, actually, I'm glad I'm not in a relationship right now because I like my space. I like doing things without having to consult with someone else. Sometimes I just want to be alone. But then other times I'm just like, oh, I wish I had a partner, like someone to annoy, like someone to go somewhere with, and like all these fun things.
Yeah.
But like I can see both ends of it, I don't see it as a bad thing or like disrespectful or kind of just insensitive, but it's just a thing where you understand when you're in that relationship and then when you're not.
Yeah. And I would say I think it is different. Like, so you're speaking for yourself. So I think it's different when you can say that about yourself and not somebody else saying it about you or saying it like for example, if you're saying, oh, this is what I desire, I want to be in a relationship, and then they're like, girl, enjoy being single. It's like, okay, can I have my moment where I just say what's on my heart, you know? So I think that's a difference. So Christian, any reactions that you have to this?
I feel like literally, yeah, it's different. Like you go from being married to single, you're going to experience different things. And I don't know, I don't know where it comes from, like where it stems from them saying that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's from whether they had a certain situation and, them and their partner were at a moment where they were seeing things differently. And it's like, oh, I wish I was still single. Or, you don't want to have to deal with these problems once you get married. So it's best to just like stay single. And I feel like once you elevate to another level, like you're introduced to different challenges, like you're introduced to different things. And I think that's a part of like going to a different type of relationship. So I don't know, I just see it as like, yeah, it's going to be different. So I probably wouldn't take offense to somebody saying it.
Yeah.
I might just be like, I wonder why you saying this. Like, where is this coming from? But like, okay.
Yeah, or maybe they just really enjoyed their single years. And I think you're right. There are different troubles that different parts of life might bring. So I can understand why people are saying this. As long as they're not saying it in response to somebody expressing that desire, I think it is just a normal thing. Like, hey, I know this is something that is flaunted, but take some time for you, before you think, oh, this is the end all be all. Like, this won't solve all of your problems. I can understand that perspective. Like, this won't solve all of your problems. It might add to your problems, and it might just not add, but bring a completely different like bucket of problems to you. So yeah, I can definitely understand that. All right, so I have another dating app question before we jump to our next discussion. I wonder if we're going to spend that much time on this, but it's if I could only eat one meal for the rest of my life, it would be. I'm going to go first because I don't even know if I answered the last question, but it's okay. So my one meal would be red snapper. It could be grilled or fried, but I would eat red snapper. Crystal, don't make that face at me. For the rest of my life. And it's like the way that they season it at various African restaurants, or the way that I cook it at home. But red snapper, maybe with a little bit of rice, that could be my meal every single day. Hater, what's yours?
That is so random. That is so random.
You think so?
That just upset me because
what? It's a healthy meal. No, listen, because I feel like y'all question my choices. So
no.
Thank you, Christian. It's a healthy meal. It tastes good. And you know exactly how I'm talking about preparing it, but it's a healthy meal. It tastes good. Actually, those are the only two things that matter. And it's my choice. Yours? Okay,
that's your choice. Go ahead, Christian.
You said that's a what?
No, I'm gonna let Christian go.
You made a great point, because the food I was thinking, I was like, would you really eat that the rest of your life? I would eat Caesar salad. What? Y'all did not understand my love for Caesar salad. And then I thought about it. I was like, Caesar salad dressing has anchovies in it. I was like, my breath would be stink like for the rest of my life.
It's okay. They can deal with it because I love Caesar salad. So I feel you. I rather eat salad and snapper every day.
Okay, we're gonna skip over Crystal for that one, since she wants to be anti red snapper and rice.
For me, my favorite food, I have a top 5, but my favorite that I would eat pretty much every day, mostly because it's filling, but not like super filling. Like, even though if I eat it, I'll still want to eat another meal. Fufu and pepper soup. I would eat it every single day of my life if I could. I crave it every single day. Every single Stop looking at me like that. I crave
Not this being a prayer.
I crave it every single day. and it's so good. I just love fufu. I just love it so much, and I love pepper soup, and it's so yummy. And it's not,
Okay.
it's filling, but not too filling. Like you'll eat it, but then you'll still have room for more. Like,
That has never been my experience. I usually eat it and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I could eat another meal today, but
well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
yeah. Okay. All right. So moving along. If you guys can't tell, like these are my friends in real life. So we do this. But the next thing that I want to ask you guys, just because I've had enough conversations with you to kind of know some things that you'd be interested in having in a partner. But when it comes to this idea of Black love, how do you feel about people saying you need to date outside of your race? I'm going to start with Christian.
Hmm. I feel like no. I have actually, I've never had anyone tell me I should date outside my race. Until recently, I went on vacation and a cousin like suggested it to us as a group. Like she was saying in general, like Black women should consider dating outside their race. And I was just letting her sit and like express her opinions on it. But in my head, I was like, that's all good, but like, no. Like I would like to be married to a Black man.
Mm.
I just feel like trying to get all academic, like socially, like social context and cultural, like all of that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there are going to be certain things, especially with me wanting to go in academia.
Mm.
There are going to be certain things that I know I'm going to experience within an academic setting on a professional level.
Mhm.
And I feel like if I were to come home, a
Mm.
Black man would be able to understand the nuances of all of that better than another man outside outside the Black race.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you said better than, because it's not a dispute of, okay, maybe some people can understand, but we know for a fact that, most Black people's experiences, or a lot of them, like might mirror yours. You might have like similarities in your backgrounds. So I think I understand that that's comforting to come home to. Now, did anybody else say something to your cousin? I'm trying to get the family tea, but did anybody
Um,
respond to her cousin?
we're already pretty much all in the consensus
Mm.
that we probably wouldn't. I think the idea of dating a man who has like some Hispanic um background, possibly. I don't know if that was in the conversation. I may have like completely logged out of that one because I was like, no, what you're
Got
saying is
you.
great, but I don't think so.
Interesting. Crystal, I want to hear your take.
um, well, I've dated outside my race before.
Okay.
Um, yes, you do. um, but now I feel like I've had people told me like, girl, you better date those YWT guys or
YWT.
white, just white. Just say it. Date those guys or because, um, they're drama free or this. And I'm just like, are they really?
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, are they really? But also it's like when I picture my life and like raising children, like I picture myself with a Black man.
Hmm.
And then if I can even go deeper, I picture myself with a certain culture of Black men. So like a Liberian man. I would love to date someone from my country.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not even just Black, but like Black from this region. You
Yeah.
know? So like I feel like I'm glad others have had success dating people outside of their race. It's just not for me right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or
And I think I think that's definitely fair. Like we talk about here all the time, Miosha and myself, we talk about if it's something that you really want, that is perfectly fine. I think people, maybe their vision is wrapped up in, well, it's their vision, right? So they might not understand your vision for your life and the things that might be near and dear to your heart, or the reasons why you're willing to wait for something like that. Because for them, it's like, okay, no, I have other options and I'm open to them. And I think that's a beautiful thing as well. Like, be open to the options that are out there, but just understand that that might not be everybody's stories, and they have specific reasons for, why that's not a route that they would take. Yeah, and that, what's interesting, it's the idea that, oh, this other group of people would be more drama free. And I don't think, has that been proven by anybody anywhere? Because I don't think so. It's like you can find as much drama in any community as the next. So yeah, there's no issue there. All right. So we're gonna go to our next dating app question. And this one is, so you have to complete it. I get along best with people who fill in the blank. I'm gonna start with Christian.
I promise I thought these out. I get along best with people who, I would also have to say, have like a sense of humor. Like, cause I'm goofy. Like, once you get past that top layer, like I play too much. Like, really, I do, because I mean, I like to have fun. I like to have a good time. I don't like people who take things so serious. Like, we'll get along if we can, especially in that early phase where we're just like really getting to know each other.
Yeah.
If we can play around and you can, like, it's just like, it helps the conversation flow and it feels a little bit more, what everybody says, like organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why that word is overused.
Yeah. I feel like if we can play around, we'll get along.
Yeah. My answer was, I get along best with people who can read the room. And I think that's a big deal, because, like, obviously if you're around me, I'm going to take you around my family. I'm going to take you around my friends. I might take you to like professional events, whatever. But if you're not able to like assess the situation and, adapt accordingly, that could lead to me being embarrassed, and I embarrass easily. So I can't have that. I need someone who understands the assignment in that way. How about you, Crystal?
I get along best, I would say, with people who don't beat themselves up over everything, who aren't so like uptight. Like, I was raised in like a type A household, and I've really tried to like very type A, like, and I brought that into lots of my relationships. And it wasn't until like years after that, I had to look back and reflect, like, oh my gosh, I was annoying. Like, I would not want to date me.
Still are.
I'm sorry, say that again.
No, just kidding.
But it's like, I used to like not complain about everything, but it's like, everything was a pet peeve for me, because that's just how I grew up. Like, I grew up with a very like type A mom. I can't help it.
Yeah.
It was ingrained in me at that point. So now I'm trying to be like, everything does not have to be a big deal, like, and I make a conscious effort of like, okay, I'm going to ignore this, because guess what? It's not important.
Yeah.
So it's not that important. It's not a deal breaker, like, my only thing is like, what I live by, I'm like, okay, is this going to make the person's day better or worse? Like, if I say this thing, is it going to improve your day? If not, I'm not saying it. Like, because yeah, it's not, I'm not setting out here to just like, I could tell you like, oh, hey, you left the trash, or I can be like, I just take the trash out.
Yeah. I
Like,
will say, just because, so I've only known Crystal for 3 years now. Did we meet in 2019? Yeah. 2019, not even 3 years actually, because it'll be
Seems like forever.
summer. Exactly. But we became quick friends. But I will say that I would not have known that if you hadn't said it. So I think you've done a good job of achieving whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, like that balance between taking everything too seriously and maybe not taking things seriously at all. Like you, I think, are very, very balanced in that sense. So kudos to
Thank
you.
you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Back.
Okay. All right. So, all right. That was a good one. Moving right along.
Okay.
The next thing I want us to respond to, ladies, is when people say, just focus on loving yourself and then the right person will come. Or they might say something like, maybe you're not ready yet. God will send the right person when you're really ready. What are you guys' thoughts on that, Crystal?
First of all, I love myself enough. Second of all, you're not God, so don't tell me what God will do. Um, those are the two. Actually, I hate those two. Those two statements like the absolute most, because first of all, it's not additive. It doesn't add anything to my life. It's not like change this or change. It's just like love yourself more. How do you know I don't love myself? Like,
Yeah.
And then God will send somebody when you're ready. I'm ready. Actually, I've been ready. But no, I hate those two. And my thing is like, I say this prayer, I guess, or this statement, and I'm just like, God, like if you are going to send someone my way, like make them make a move so bold that I can't ignore it, or show me the signs that makes me like leave immediately. So
Yes.
That's Sierra prayer. And Crystal prayer.
So like, I mean, I'm telling you, I wrote this prayer down. It was like 2017. That's how much like I say it over and over, and it's worked so far. I've crossed off the boxes. Like left some relationships.
Yeah.
But yeah, like certain things, like I said, if you don't have anything to say, just don't say anything.
Yeah, because that's not it. Oh, I love that. Christian
Yeah.
said, yeah, that's the crystal prayer. What about you, Christian? Do you have any types of reactions when you hear that or those statements?
I completely agree. Like why would you just make the assumption that I don't love myself enough? Or like me having this strong desire to be with the right person means that I don't focus on myself enough? Or even to say like, oh, well, maybe you're just not ready yet. Like, how are you going to just make me not ready? Like, I don't want to repeat everything that Crystal said because I completely agree with it. Like, I just feel like you're making assumptions about my current disposition that only myself and God would know.
Yeah, and I think the thing about that is there are people who don't love themselves or who genuinely aren't ready, and they find partners and things work out. So I particularly dislike those things, those statements, because it's like anybody can find someone at any point of their journey. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out to meet your person. There are people who are broken, meet their person, and things work out. There are people who, feel like they've gone on this journey of like healing and everything, and then they meet their person, but there's no formula to it. And I think I just want us to stay away from pretending that there is some type of formula, because I think that's like it's dangerous, because it's like, okay, I've done everything, I'm perfect now, I'm ready now, and there could still not be someone. Also, you're always working on yourself, so nobody's ever fully there. That's not to say, if you have some things that you need to resolve, you should wait for a relationship to resolve them. I think still work on you, but yeah, there's no formula for this.
Yeah. And I think I looked at it like, when I saw the question, I guess I looked at it really logically, like, okay, being ready is subjective. Like, what really is ready? And I mean, I just thought, I'm like, literally, when people have their first child, are you ready to have your first child? You never had a child before.
Yeah.
So it's like, what really is ready if you've never been in that type of situation before? But that's just how I saw it. I don't.
Yep. You're absolutely right. It's subjective. All right. We're going to slide into our next dating question, ladies. What makes a relationship great is fill in the blank. So, what makes a relationship great? Put on your thinking caps. I guess I'll go ahead and answer and say, cool. I have like two answers. I think reciprocity and commitment, which kind of go hand in hand. What did you say?
So okay, SAT.
Oh, so reciprocity and what was the other thing I said? It started with a C.
Commitment.
Yes, no? Commitment. Thank you.
I had my own C word in my head, so I was like,
well, yes, reciprocity and commitment, because you want two people who are invested and who are willing to do what needs to be done to make it work. And then like with reciprocity, that kind of plays a role into commitment, but also you just want people who like each other and are willing to do acts of kindness for the other person without it feeling like it's forced. So yeah, those would be my two things, I think. You know, I'd be deep sometimes.
No, those were my exact two, minus the SAT word. I was just like, do unto others as you would like to do unto you. Pretty much the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those two are mine.
Christian?
Yes. I'm going to go with the tried and true good communication. Okay. Good and clear communication. Yeah, because at some point we're going to have differences in opinion, and we need to be able to go through a process of communication, like how Crystal was saying earlier. Before I say something, consider my partner's like emotions and how I know they respond in certain situations. It's like, if I say this and if I say this in this way, is this really going to help the situation? Or do I need to go back to the drawing board and think on it a little longer? Like, is nothing wrong with not finishing a conversation in that moment? Like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I have emotions right now, and I don't know if I'm going to respond in the way that's going to help this this conversation. So give me some time. I need to go think, because I'm a thinker. Like, I don't, when I'm in conversation with people, I tend to be very quiet because I'm observing and I'm taking in the words. And it takes the time for me to like wrap my thoughts together. So like, I know that I'm going to be the person that's like, can we table this for a moment? Like, we're going to come back to it. Yeah. But I really need to sit with my thoughts so that when I respond, it's going to be like helpful to our relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important. As long, like, again, as long as we come back to it. Yeah. And we don't leave it unresolved.
I love that. Another point for like communication for me is I have to have calm communication. Like I don't deal well with people being very forceful with me or like aggressive with me. So that's something that's huge for me. Like, I understand you're upset right now. Do not come at me screaming. Like, please do not do that, because I will cry. Okay. Like, I'm not going to fight you back or anything like that. I will literally be crushed. Exactly.
That's funny.
So the final question that I want you guys to respond to, something that people should stop saying to single people, is you got plenty of time, or girl, you're still young. How do you guys feel about that? Christian, I'm gonna start with you.
I mean, again, are you God, and why are you managing my timetable? Because I understand like waiting for the right partner comes with a level of patience. I do understand that, but I do find myself sometimes thinking about the biological clock And it's like, you know, I'm gonna have kids when I'm 35. Like, you know, you just find yourself like thinking about that, and then it's like, okay, I understand the time thing, but I don't I don't know. It just seems like something else people say.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have plenty of time. Kind of just like, oh, brush it off.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. And it's like, girl, I'm approaching 30. Like, why can't I be married soon?
Why
Like,
can't I think about it?
yeah, like, why can't it come
Exactly.
soon?
Crystal?
I'm sorry. Your comment about my biological clock, it made me think of my cousin Vinny.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Biological clock is ticking. But no, like that statement too. It's funny because I get opposite statements on like both ends. Like I've never heard the you got plenty of time. Well, towards me anyway, but I've heard the when are you getting married, having kids from like the elders in my family. So they're making
Oh,
me think that I don't have time. And then, but then my peers, they're like, either girl, you good because half like a quarter of my friends getting married with children, a quarter of them, you know, are just doing their own thing. And then some people are just like, I don't care. And then my family was like, you don't have kids. You're not married. When is this happening? I'm like, oh Lord, do I have time? Do I not have time?
yeah.
So like, it freaks me out. But not because like I'm putting a time on it. It's mostly because I'm comparing myself to others, which I need to stop doing.
Yes.
It's
Cut it
like
out.
I wish I just like that's exact. I just need to tune it all out. Like
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's like nobody else's timeline fits mine. It's like what happens for me is for me. It's okay.
Preach.
Like once I learn to appreciate that and accept it, like I'll be okay. And so what if I'm like 35 and having a baby? At least okay, my friends' kids can babysit mine. You know,
Okay.
like hello, like
Yeah.
I enjoyed my 20s. I've had a good time in my 20s.
Mhm.
And at least my 30s, I can be very stable and
Yeah.
I'll be that traveling mama doing things I've always wanted to do with my baby in the little
And
carrier.
so, right.
Exactly.
I love that. I didn't even so we didn't have comments like, oh, you don't have any time. So maybe we might do a part 2. Obviously it won't be Galentine's Day, but you know, maybe we'll invite these lovely ladies back to give their opinions on things that people say to single people, or maybe they won't be single at the time and they won't have time for us as a podcast, who knows. But listen, the whole purpose of this was really just to get together with some girlfriends and enjoy a Galentine's Day type conversation. So I definitely hope you guys enjoyed being here. As for our audience, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. You've heard our thoughts on this topic, but we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Girlfriends and Goals Podcast, where we'll continue this conversation over the next week. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do that now. And don't forget to rate, review, and share. Until next time, bye.
Yeah.